Good morning, this is Hiro. What I'm doing is I'm here waiting for the sunrise. We're in the first day of October, so we're in the fall, and this is the start of a fall nursery tour. But what I thought I'd do today, if I can, to catch the sunrise. Well, what's going to happen is when the sun does become visible, I think it may be not good to shoot it because it'll flare. Yeah, the sunlight is peeking through the branches. Oh, it seems like when you're waiting, it takes forever. I remember my trip to Maui. I was on Harriet's deck looking at the sunset, and I swear that was setting so fast. Well, same with sunrise too. You know, when I'm inside watching TV and drinking coffee, it seems very quick. But now that I'm out here with the camera waiting, it's taking forever, it seems like. Well, we got the sun. I think now it's going to play all kinds of nasty tricks on the camera. But at least we got to see what I get to see just about every morning out of my kitchen window. So let's go ahead and get back on the tour of the nursery for the fall. What are we looking at here? This is a jujube. So as we start to pan, you could see the effects of the sun. These are the pine trees. To our left is the Scotch pine, or on the East Coast it's Scots pine, and then the red. And these I did a rough trimming the other day, versus on this side, it needs a lot of work here. So now that it's cool and I could wear long sleeve, I could get started. So typically October, November is when I try to get all my pine tree done. And then I could cut back fairly severely, and then before summer it'll recover. So I think we've talked about it before. I have to keep these things bushy through the summer months so the trunk doesn't burn. Here's some more that are in need of pruning. So the fall pruning, I do heavy, and then I try to do a light touch-up in the spring. And that's for adjusting to our extreme summers. Now this sunrise is nice, but it really is difficult when you're shooting videos because of the difference in light. I think these trees here need to go into a larger container like this one here, but it gets heavier. So I'm hoping that people will buy it at this stage where it's more manageable. 2 people could pick this up. But over here, you better have 2 or 3 very strong people. Okay, let's take a look at these benches. It looks nice and full, but if you look back at like the spring one, it's different. Well, things been selling. So my nursery reduction is going fairly well, but I still have enough inventory that as it gets sold, I could still fill up that space. Yeah, the nice sunrise just gets a little tricky when you're shooting videos and photographs. You know, I move things all the time. Well, what happens is you got to turn it, right? But if you move it, then actually you could actually turn it without actually looking like you've been turned, if that makes sense to you. Ooh, there's an open space there. Okay, I moved the boxwood to this area. Some of this dead looking one actually could be dead. The one in forward right here, water was off. That's it's a volunteer walnut. Well, it's not a volunteer. The squirrels bring it and then bury it, so I end up with walnut trees, acorn, and things like that. Correct, myrtles love the heat. This is a nursery. Nursery within a nursery. Well, these are small plants that are not quite ready for sale, but should be by next spring. And then other times, see this poor olive in the back? I think it's dead. It wasn't anything to do with the heat. It was the water was off again. That's usually the time that I lose plants. But sometimes I've seen olives come back. So it's been about 3-4 months, and I'm beginning to lose hope, but I'm still going to hang on. And some of this stuff here, especially with the red tape, I think we did that as a group project. Root over rock, I think. This one right here. It was here first, then it left, and it came back. Some of my best customers, they like the big stuff, let's say 10 years ago. But as we age, it gets more difficult. So I swapped him for medium-sized, great-looking bonsai, and then I have the big one now. Oh, that was the ume, or the Japanese apricot. You see the batch of elms here, and you've seen these a number of times, I'm sure, with a cart full of M's, number of times. Our olives here. I had this thing cleaned out less than 3 weeks ago, and now look, the weeds are back. Okay, this area used to have a lot more plants. I have less, so I'm starting to take out the benches. Now look at this aerial shot. Yeah, it's a lot less plants now. At least this an area. But I could keep most of my main benches still full because I still have enough inventory. But like I said, it's going more or less according to plan. So 5 more years, I should be completely out. Okay, this area here, not down here, but the upper part right here, those are my affordable plants for beginners. Now, I'm trying to reduce inventory, but I also need these smaller things that anybody could afford, right? And so I'm making them. But yeah, if I make too many, I'll never run out of inventory. Oh yeah, look at this thing here. This is the Princess Persimmon. So this area still looks nice and full. Oh, there's been things things that sold out here. Those of you with great memory and sharp eye will start to see that, hey, whatever happened to that one? Yeah, crepe myrtles are great for our weather. The hotter it is, the more they want to bloom. Only thing I had to do was to make sure that it was still getting enough water. On some of them, I have to water it by hand in the middle of the 116-degree. But generally, I get by with once a day watering, like everything else. Yeah, I try to keep this section as full as possible. But I think once I run out of this inventory that's on the bench, I only have a few more. And this is the size, remember, I recommend to beginners because it has between 7 and 12 years age, and then it's got a great start. But I won't have enough time to make more of these according to my master plan. This is the Chinese elm, fully exposed to the sun. I almost lost one, but I caught it in time. What happened was those drip emitters had fallen out. I think it was this one right here in the corner. But if you catch it in time, it'll recover fully. So this year, that olive that's in the hospital, that might be the only really good one that died. Or it still might come back, but the chance of recovery is becoming less and less now. Here's the big, heavy trident maple. All this material I have a great taper movement as well as a root flare. And that's one of the minimum requirements before I try to sell it. So even when it's all bushy and you could barely see it, it's in there. These are trident maples. And I had a customer wanted one, but wasn't quite sure. So I said, hey, let's bring it inside. And then I proceeded to start trimming lightly from the bottom. And about the time that, I got to about 1/4 of the way up, he says, I want it. Because now he could see that it has all this great potential. And, that's one of the things I've been doing is making sure that it has a good structure before I try to sell it. Yeah, this is the medium-sized stuff. Won't be having too many more of these once it gets sold out. Then you still got some of the bigger boulevard cypresses up there. So these are boulevard cypresses. So those of you interested in some really good inventory, come on by. Oh yeah, yesterday I had a couple that came from Bishop. That's a 6-hour drive away, and then they looked at my things and they wisely decided maybe they should come back in March. Well, it gets very cold and snowy up there, and yeah, they would suffer, so I think they're gonna come back. I think as we get closer to spring in next year. This is that big boulevard cypress everybody's been eyeing. Look at that sunrise. It does a really beautiful job. So I shall sign off now. This is Hiro saying goodbye. And remember the sunset we were waiting on? Now it's really difficult to shoot into the sunrise. So I'll say goodbye now. Thank you for watching, and see you soon in another chapter. So this has been the Fall Nursery Tour. Goodbye.